Hey guys, Phil here at Woods Tree Farm. Today we are starting to lay out this year's trees. This is the most precise layout we have done to date. I feel like by comparison, everything else that we've done up to this point, we've just been winging it. And we really realized how off some of our rows were this past year. We tried to mow in between them, and our 54-inch mower wouldn't fit in between some sections of some of our rows because our rows are like super crooked and not straight. So what we've got here today is we laid a baseline. I've got one string of twine here. This baseline is set at to be 20 feet off of our old row of trees, or our first row of trees from down here from the previous year. So we went in 20 feet. So after these trees grow mature, we'll still have a nice wide aisleway here. And we went in 20 feet down on this end, 20 feet down on that end. Then we pulled these down 180 feet apart. We laid down one string. Then we did our 3-4-5 roll, and we made sure that this string and this string here with these stakes are at 90 degrees to each other. We did that on both corners. And then we set a stake out here every 8 feet. Once we got down here, we laid another line all the way down just to make sure we were still square. And then we did the 3-4-5 rule again off of this baseline, and everything looks pretty good. Last year's, so we've got some of canane firs in here from spring planting, and these canane firs, where these rows are all over the place. So we're actually only 6 feet apart here on this end. Down the other end, the row is 7 feet apart. But all of our new rows will be perfectly parallel to each other, but it's these older rows in the middle that are going to be a little bit wonky. Once we get down to this end, we're going to do the same thing. So there was one partial row. This row here has like 5 trees down the other end. So we're just going to lay this one out manually to put the trees in line with those trees from last year. Then we set out a new baseline row 8 feet off of last year's trees. And that's what we just finished doing just now. So we've got 180 feet of twine laid down here. We stretched out a stretch of twine this way 40 feet. Down the middle, we've got our tape. That's going to measure us 50 feet down to this post, which is set at 30 feet. So it's that 30 foot on this end right near me, 40 foot down there near Stacy, and 50 feet across the middle. It's going to get us a perfectly aligned right angle here at this corner. So from here, now that we've got this laid out, that stake's in the ground, we can set stakes here every 8 feet, and that's going to mark off our rows for this year. And we'll go down and do the same thing on the far end, and then it'll get a little bit tricky down along the tree line because the tree line is not square to our field or square to the rows that we're laying out. So the rows will get shorter down on that end as we approach the tree line. 204 and 3. This is one of our little cheats. So we just kept 40 feet of twine on this one stake here, and we can reuse it every time we go make the corner. Otherwise, we'd have to move the tape 3 times, and it was really time consuming to move the tape measure that many times. So Stacy just tapped in a stake there at 30 feet. We're down at the other end now. And then I can take my little piece of twine. I'm gonna walk now with the end of the tape measure and the 40-foot twine. And from the point that Stacy just put in, we'll measure out 50 feet on the triangle. And where these two things end is where we need to be. Uh-oh. Twine got him out of
it. Oh. Alright, hey, I'm going to throw the hammer to the side. Trust.
Right. So the final step here is on our 6th row at the end of our little 40-foot line. We're just going to take the tape all the way across, and if everything's laid out right, this should be 180 feet long, just like our first baseline was. So let's pull it tight and see. You're at 180? Yeah, we're an inch short, close enough. Well, our last little section here, which I didn't film the setup because I don't think this is too relevant for too many of you, but our tree line here, as I mentioned, kind of goes off in that direction, and we have all our rows kind of squared up, you know, at an angle to that. So we wanted to make sure we have plenty of room for a tractor to get all the way around our last row of trees. So these stakes here represent the ends of our last couple rows, and they each have about 20 feet from the stake to the tree line. So they're not perfectly in line with each other here from the angle we're looking at it from, and that's okay, and that's because the tree line is not perfectly straight because we measured 20 feet off the tree line. We're also going to end up coming back here and trying to cut back some of this tree line anyway, so we've got plenty of room. But if I look at how many rows that we've got, these rows are 180 feet long. We're going to plant trees at 6 feet, so that means we can get at least 30 trees per row, probably 31 or 32 trees per row if you count the ones on the ends. So that means the rows that we did earlier is like 270 trees worth. I've got 9 rows here, so 9 and 30 is another 270, and then I have these partial rows here, which will probably get us another 150 trees worth. So I don't quite have enough rows laid out yet for the trees we have on order, but we're planning on inserting some of the trees that we're getting in and some of the gaps that we have in the other section of field where trees have died. So I think we're going to be okay. The next video that you're going to see us out here doing is using the sprayer. Now that this is all laid out and everything's square and it's the way that we want it to be, I'm going to have to customize the sprayer that I got so that its boom is set at 8 feet, and I can just come right down these rows and spray, and over the next couple of weeks that'll all turn brown. Then I can come through with the subsoiler and the tiller and do everything that we need to do to get this all set up and ready to plant. So I'm excited. I feel really good the way that this looks. We should have been doing this all along, but we were really just winging it with our first couple plantings out here. And now that we have the sprayer, I was thinking about it and thinking that we really just need to be a lot more precise with how we plant if we want to be able to use the sprayer to control the grasses going forward. We can't have rows that are going like this down the row when the sprayer is going at one continuous width. So that's what we're dealing with here. That's what we're trying to avoid with this next planting. I'll be using the sprayer on some of last year's planting on some of those rows, and we'll see how that ends up working. But I know there's going to be some trees that are missed where our rows get a little bit closer together. Fortunately, that sprayer has a spray wand, and I can manually spray down those trees or spray around those trees, so we'll be okay. But that's just kind of extra work. But still, using that sprayer is less work than wearing the backpack sprayer, and that's what I'm excited about. If you got questions about our tree farm, about tree farming in general, about our YouTube channel, about anything else, leave those in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate every one of you, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.